Usually, when you do a group test, the bikes have quite a lot in common, but this lot don't even look like they're from the same decade. We've got 4 middleweight retro bikes. The Yamaha XSR700, which is really an MT-07, known for low weight and wheelies. We've got a Ducati Scrambler, a modern interpretation of a smaller single-cylinder range from the 60s and 70s. We've gone for the full throttle variant with black paint and Termignoni silencers. We've got the new Triumph Street Twin, the entry-level 900cc Bonneville. And we've got a Moto Guzzi V7 II Special, which actually looks quite a lot like the 1971 V7 Sport. We started to think it might share some electrical components with the 70s Model 2 when the one delivered to our office wouldn't start thanks to a dead battery. A jump start and it got it going, but it still wouldn't idle. We had to keep it above 2000 RPM and we considered disqualifying it from the test. On balance, we decided to see if a ride would get it running properly. It seemed like the right decision at the time, less so as we arrived at the Ace Cafe on London's North Circular after half an hour through city traffic to find the silencers blued by heat. A blast up the M1 finally got it working normally, but it still didn't seem a threat to the others when we reached some twisty roads. Here, the XSR dominated. An MT-07 in a retro outfit, it feels the sportiest, the one most capable of leaving the others behind. The steering's light, even twitchy, but it's the quickest turning of the 4. Peak power and torque is almost exactly the same as the Ducati's 75 horsepower and 50 pounds-foot. But the Yamaha revs a bit higher and compels you to go a bit faster. Both feel like very modern motorcycles, but the XSR's Pirelli Phantom Sports Comp tyres put you more in touch with the road than the Scrambler's dual sport rubber. The Scrambler probably has the best suspension, better damp than the XSR, and certainly not as wallowy as the Guzzi. It could also have the most powerful front brake, even though it's got one disc to the XSR's 2. It's got more initial bite, but again the dual sport Pirelli MT60 RS tyres don't transfer it so well to the road, so ABS activates sooner and stopping distances will probably be longer. Purely based on riding, the XSR might be the better machine. But you can't ignore styling on a retro bike, and for me the XSR misses the mark. It looks exactly what it is, a machine created as one thing, turned into another and ending up looking like neither. In places it just looks like bits are missing. There's an exposed rear brake master cylinder where you'd find bodywork on the MT-07. It's confused. The Scrambler looks more authentically traditional, until you park it next to the Street Twin, the archetypal motorcycle shape. That's the kind of British shape that spawned the universal Japanese motorcycle. So it's a shame Triumph has kept the performance almost as traditional. At 198 kilograms, the Street Twin weighs more dry than all the others do wet. Hopping from one bike to another, it really felt the heaviest too. It makes more pounds-foot than horsepower, and it's all way down in the range, so it's kind of over while you're still waiting for more. With no rev counter, you don't know where you are in the range anyway. The brakes are competent and the tyres are the same as the XSR's. The Cobra suspension is soft and would make for a comfortable ride if it wasn't for the seat, which quite soon felt hard. Of the 4 bikes, the Street Twin was the one I found least comfortable. I'd started the day thinking the Guzzi looked stunning and then I'd gone off it because it was such a pain getting it through London with its electrical problems. With the battery fully charged and the engine fueling correctly, I got back on it later in the day and it began to redeem itself. I'm not going to say it performed well on twisty roads. It might be the worst suspended of the lot, the one that feels most like it's on bed springs as you sling it in and out of bumpy corners. It doesn't have the sharpest brakes either, and it's the least powerful, at 46.9 horsepower. But chasing the Scrambler, which makes nearly 30 horsepower more, it didn't matter. Like the Triumph, the Guzzi makes its figures low in the range with peak torque at 3000 RPM and peak power at 6250. I kept bumping into the rev limiter looking for more as the Scrambler gradually showed it some distance. At least there was a rev counter to show me where the rev limiter lay. Everything just slotted into place. The Vibey transverse engine which sends rotational forces through the chassis, the twin dial clocks, the questionable suspension and the fun of keeping the Scrambler in sight despite it, the stunning looks. This is a genuine retro bike experience. It might be a controversial conclusion and I'll be accused of contradicting myself by criticising the Bonneville for its performance while letting the Guzzi off for being worse in virtually all respects except weight. But the Guzzi seems to best fit the brief written by the retro bike movement. Of the 4 machines on test, it's the one that seems to share most in common with the historic model from which it derives, probably technically and certainly in styling. It's subjective, but with its straighter lines and sky blue tank, the V7 II Special is more eye-catching than the Bonneville. With its sticky out cylinders, it's more authentic than the Scrambler, which is and seems contrived in comparison. The Guzzi is the one that other people noticed and looked at longest during our test ride, one rider even nodding his approval in London. There's no practical argument for choosing it. It's unlikely to be the most reliable, nor the best for commuting or general transport purposes, but it's the one that feels the best as you rock up at the Bike Shed, the cafe in London's Shoreditch and centre of the known hipster universe. It's right that this edition is called the Special, because next to the other three, that's how it feels. You may disagree, the other three riders on the test did, but for their verdicts you'll have to read the full review on visordown.com.